Guys, welcome back to our YouTube channel, Accounts Guru Cool. Learn accounting online. So today we are here to discuss record to report technical interview questions on journal entries and financial presentations. That's all we are going to discuss in a practical. When you are going to do the presentation of the MIS or you're preparing for the financials, how you have to do the presentation of that related to the technical journal entries, how you have to take the impact of that and how you're going to show that into financial presentations as well. So the question is going to come in a that way, how you're going to give the answer for that questions plus how you are going to present that in financials or your MIS. That's the way the question is going to be, and you have to give the answer for that. Giving one example is that it's going to, if payment is made twice to sundry creditors mistakenly, what entry you are going to propose here, how you are going to show that in your financial presentations, and what's going to happen with this. If interviewer asks you if payment is made twice to sundry creditors mistakenly, how you are going to do the entry for that, how you are going to do the presentation into the financials, either you are going to pass any rectification entry for that, if it's not, why, if it's yes, how and what. If you want to show that into financial presentations, how we are going to do that, that's all is going to be here we have to discuss to get a more clarity on this. So when if you are going to give a straightway answer for that, that's not going to be work. You have to be put it into the scenario which are going to say that how you are going to present that answer what you have to the interviewer and how it's going to be impact on your financial presentations as well. Similarly, there is one more questions we are going to take here is that stock is sold but goods in transit. How you are going to do the entry for that and why. That's all we are going to discuss here in practical by taking into consideration of these two journal entries and trying to evaluate how many ways are there to give the answer for that. And if you have any such kind of practical scenario when you are doing any transaction into the system, then how you are going to act on that and what's the right way to take the actions related to this. That's all we are going to discuss here. So request viewers to be with us till the end of this to know more about what are all the ways we have and what actions, what journal entry we have to do and how we have to give the answer to interviewer. So request viewers once again to be with us till the end of us to know the more about this from the practical standpoint and the number of ways we have to present this, and request viewers to like, share and subscribe our channel to get the more practical knowledge related to accounting and finance. In addition to that, if you are looking for any sort of training related to accounting and finance, either that's going to be R2R, P2P, O2C, FANA, or any software training, or if you want to outsource any sort of work related to accounting and finance, we are there to support you. You just need to connect with us on our email ID accounts trustgurucool@yahoo.com. In addition to that, if you need any support for preparation of your CV as well, then you can connect with us on our email ID accounts trustgurucool@yahoo.com. We'll take this scenario and we'll jump towards the Excel to know what's the mean of this and how you are going to give the answer for this in a practical way and what are all the ways we have to present this. So let's go to the Excel. Yeah. So if payment is made twice to sundry creditors mistakenly. So whenever the such kind of scenarios are there, so you have to just first think from the accounting standpoint, how it's going to be impacting accounting. The first, assuming that if you have the one invoice only, that's going to be the first conditions. You have the one invoice from your vendor, then how you are going to do the presentation of that and how it's going to be impact on your accounting. So if you have the invoice and the first you book your invoice in the system, that's going to be your professional fees account is debit is going to be 50K. To your vendor, it's Dayu Deeper LLP account credit is going to be 50,000. And you have done the payment as well. And if this scenario is pertaining to the 31st March, or you book this invoice in March 23, and you have done the payment as well on 25th of March 2023, that's going to be your Dayudupur Professional Services LLP account is going to be debit to bank account credit. We are not talking here about from the TDS standpoint and GST implications. We are just discussing about the accounting concept, accounting entry. So that's going to be there. And if you have done the one more payment on 26th March 23, that's going to be same. Now, if you see from the ledger standpoint of Dayudiffer LLP, how it's going to be work? It's going to be your debit side. This is going to be your credit. So the first is going to be credit is by professional fees is going to be 50K. You have done the payment as well to bank is 50K. Again, you have done the one more payment of bank, that's 50K. Now, if you are seeing towards your ledger, so debit balance is this 1 lakh, and here is going to be by balance carried down, that's 50, and in your, this is going to be to balance BD, that's 50,000. So knowing that this is your sundry creditors and the balance should be the payable, that's the credit balance is expected. But here we have the debit balance. It means we have to recover from that. So here, what entry you are going to pass? That's the questions. Or not. And if it's not, why? And if it's yes, what? And if it's not, how you are going to do the presentation in your financial statement? That's the questions. And you have the other sundry creditors as well. That's going to be accounts Gurukul or it's a Santosh. Then that's going to be the one more is with limited. And this is your Dayu Deeper LLP as well. Accounts Gurukul, you have to pay 1,50,000. Santosh, you have to pay 5 lakh. With limited, you have to pay 1,55,000. And here, from the Dayu Deeper LLP, we have to recover 50,000. And total, it's there in your accounts payable is this much is the balance. Now you have the options, in fact. And what are all those options? That's we have to discuss here. And you are closing your 31st March or presenting your MIS. So you have the first, which is not the right option, but still I'm just explaining to you. And that's the way how we do the, you can say the mistake while presenting our MIS, or we do the misrepresentations of our MIS or financial statement if we are going to say that all these 7,55,000 we are going to just show towards the accounts payable, sundry creditors in our financial statement or current liabilities. Only 7,55,000. So this is not going to be correct way to do that. First, if it's a double payment is there, twice payment is there, how we are going to do the rectification for that? The first option is that if you don't have any future services from that particular vendor, you have to ask them to do the refund of this. But again, that's going to be take a time. Second, you already done the payment, so there is no any entry you have to do it. You need to ask them for refund of that amount. Next, from presentation standpoint, if you are going to present only sundry creditors, that's a 7,55,000 as a current liability. By adjusting this 50,000, then that's also not the right answer. So the third options, what you have to do from presentation standpoint, you have to pass the reclassification entry from R2R standpoint to take this amount towards loans and advances, or from accounts payable from P2P standpoint, you have to park this amount towards loans and advances to supplier, and that's going to be asset for us. Or you have to take it through the R2R GL to GL, that's going to loans and advances to supplier, that's going to be debit 50,000 to is your DIU for LLP account, credit is going to be 50,000. And if that's going to become here by loans and advances, then your account is going to be zero, and the balance BD is not going to be required now. So that's the way you have to, and this is also is going to be zero. So your current liability is going to show as 8,05,000, and the loans and advances to supplier is going to be shown towards the current assets as of 50,000. And the DIU for LLP account is credit, but loans and advances we have to recover from DIU for LLP, and that's going to be there in asset side. So that's the way you have to do it. And when you are doing the presentations, then you have to show this 50,000 towards loans and advances to supplier instead of adjusting towards the entire accounts payable to club towards accounts payable. And if in case you have the two invoices, three invoices, that's going to be if you have more than two or three invoices, and if any invoice outstanding are there, for any invoices outstanding are there, then you have the option to adjust this excess paid amount towards the open invoices. That's also option you have, and you are going to adjust that against DIU per LLP itself, giving that if it's a 1 lakh is 1,50,000 is payable to DIU per LLP, out of that you have paid 50,000 twice, then again 50,000 is going to be there as a payable to DIU per LLP. So you can do that as well. But if you have the single invoice, then you have to follow these ways. The first, you have to park that amount towards loans and advances to supplier. And second, as and when it's received from that particular supplier, that's going to be removed from loans and advances and going to adjust against that advance. That's the way you have to do it. And if you're going to club that everything towards the accounts payable as well, then that's not going to be the right presentations of the MIS. So that's the way we have to do this from the if payment is made twice to sundry creditors mistakenly. Now the next is going to be from the JIT. Stock is sold but goods in transit. Then how you are going to take the impact in the books. So what are all the options we have? So before going to discuss about the stock is sold but goods in transit, you have to just recollect your memories or revise, reframe your memories related to accounting standard 9 for revenue recognitions. When you are going to do the revenue recognitions in the books, from that standpoint, you have to think how the entries is going to be. And as per the AS, is going to be says once the responsibility of the that goods, possession of that goods, ownership of that goods is going to transfer, then only you have the right to recognize as a revenue, or else You don't have right to recognize that as a revenue in your books. Then how you are going to do that? If the ownership is going to be transferred once goods is moved out from your premises, you have the right to recognize the revenue in your books. So you are going to recognize straight away the revenue in your books. But if the ownership, possession, risk is not transferred, and the condition is that you have to deliver the goods at customer place. So the risk, ownership, possession is going to be transferred once you deliver the goods at customer place. And the ownership risk is going to be transferred. So in that scenario, you don't have right to recognize the revenue. No revenue in our books. No revenue in our books. So we are not going to recognize the revenue in our books. We can't recognize revenue in our books since the delivery term is delivered at client place. So delivery at client's place. We have to deliver at client place. Until the times we are not going to deliver, the ownership risk possession is not going to transfer. So we can't consider this as a revenue in our books. And if that's going to be as in when it's moved out from our premises, we have the right to recognize the revenue in your books. The condition is that risk is going to be transferred once the goods is moved out from our premises. As and when it's moved out, we have right to recognize the revenue in our books. So considering this, how it's going to become in R2R standpoint. If any stock is sold but goods in transit, then that goods when that goods is going to be in transit, and knowing we are doing the quarterly reporting or year-end financials we are preparing, we have to analyze such uh, cut-off document. What are all the last 10 invoices are there? We have to do the analysis of that, and we have to see what's the delivery term. And if the delivery term is says that delivered at client place, so our risk is not transferred yet. So we have to do the reversal of that revenue in our books. So whatever you have booked, and whenever you are going to book the revenue, the entry is going to be our customer account is debit to revenue, or you can say the sales account is credit. If it's 5 lakh, then the next entry is going to be from R2R standpoints, what we have to do. So we are going to do first, sales account is debit to the customer account credit, 5 lakh to 5 lakh. Now, it's not going to be stopped here only. So as and when you have done the sale, you have to reinsure. Either the system have done the entry for COGS as well, cost of goods sold, and you have to do the reversal of this as well. So that's going to be, you have to reinstate your inventory account debit to COGS account credit, and that's going to be whatever it may be. if it's a 4 lakh is what you have booked the cost, then this is going to be do the reversal of that in your books. So that's the way you have to take the entry in the books from R2R standpoint. And whenever you have to give the answers, you have to present in that way. And how you're going to explain, that's we discuss. Give the reference of your AR accounting standard 9 as well for revenue recognitions and give the answer for that. And this is as well from the twice payment. You have to do the presentations. This is also as per the accounting standard, how you're going to do the presentation of your report. And considering that, you have to do all these things. And here we discuss the one scenario, that's if payment is made twice to sundry creditors mistakenly and the chit stock is sold but goods in transit from your seller standpoint. So that's all we covered here. And once again, thanks guys for being with us till the end. And uh, we are going to have such kind of more scenario in which we are going to give the more clarity to all of our viewers. So thanks guys once again for being with us till the end of this, and request viewers to like, share and subscribe our channel to get the more knowledge related to accounting and finance. In addition to that, if you want to connect with us, you can connect on our email ID accounts.gurukul@yahoo.com. Thank you.